With 615 active listings for the month of June in the Guelph real estate market, you would think that the buyers were running the show. But what if I told you that 1 in 5 listings ended up selling over asking in that same month? I know something's not adding up, but lucky for you, you're here because we're going to jump into what June 2026 has shown us so we can make informed decisions moving forward, whether you're a buyer or whether you're looking to list into a market like the one we're in right now. Let's talk about the contradiction. Hi, I'm Varsha and I sell real estate right here in the city of Guelph. And every month I go through the actual numbers, what they mean and what they're telling you. And this month has a real twist to it. There's a shift happening in the type of homes that are flooding the market that kind of flips what I've been telling you for the last few months. And when we get into the price, you're going to see for yourself that it's not really where you think it should be. So stay to the end because we're going to dive deep into that. Let's start with the choice that you have right now, though. If you're a buyer, then you've definitely felt it. Okay, there's more for you to look at. More than there was definitely a year ago. There's a lot more choice. Guelph has not seen this kind of inventory in years, and it is actually still climbing. So what does that give you? Yeah, it's going to give you choice. It's also going to give you time. You are not being forced to decide on a Tuesday night, with 3 other offers that are breathing down your neck. You have the gift of time. You have the gift to think. Now, looking at the big picture, the average selling price right across the GTA in June was just over $1,050,000. The benchmark home there is around $945,000. That's for the Greater Toronto Area. The city of Guelph sits well under that. So the buyer who got priced out of Mississauga or even Milton and who wants space, a real community, they do the math and then they end up landing here like the city of Guelph. And that demand is here to stay. But the choice that you have as a buyer right now is really not spread evenly. And that's what you're going to see, especially when we start talking about price and that twist that I promised you. So hold on, because it's going to change who has the advantage. I say this every month. There's one number that tells us who holds the cards, and it is the months of inventory. Simply put, if no new homes came to the market, how long would it take to sell everything that is already listed at the current pace? At under 2 months, sellers are more in control and prices start pushing up. If there's over 6 months, buyers take over and prices soften, right? If it's somewhere in between, that's what we called a balanced market. Guelph is right now sitting at 4.1 months of inventory. So it's balanced, sure. It's also drifting a little bit more buyer heavy than the seller end. So if you are a seller and if you're picturing prices that your neighbor listed for in 2022, and it had 5 offers by Sunday, listed midweek, and it had 5 offers, that's not the market that we're in. And if you are a buyer who's just assuming you had absolutely no leverage in this market, I'm going to encourage you to look again. Maybe that's why you're here. Okay. The question is, what are you going to do with this leverage? Time is leverage. Inventory is leverage. And it is those pieces that are actually slowing this market down for you. Homes are simply taking longer to sell. It has cooled even from where it was a year ago. And for a buyer, that is not bad news. That is room for you to breathe, a room to get an inspection done, room for you to sleep on it. Now, a lot of you are sitting on the fence and you're blaming interest rates. There, I said it. And before you make any move, and let me just push you gently. The Bank of Canada held its rate at 2.25% in June. Okay, that is the 5th hold in a row. And the market is not pricing in a cut. Okay, so the best 5-year fixed rate that's sitting around like just over 4% is what people have to qualify at. So if your whole plan is to wait for cheaper money, please understand what you are actually waiting on. Your leverage in Guelph right now is not coming from the rates. It's not. It's coming from the fact that there is inventory, which gives you time. And both of those together are what's here today. The rate may go down, but it also may not. And you're waiting for the wrong thing at this point. So if you're sitting in the middle of all of it and you're trying to figure out, whether it's your right time, whether this is your moment to make a move, this is exactly the kind of conversation I have with folks every single week, especially ones that have absolutely no idea what Guelph is about. There is a link in the description below. I'd love for you to schedule a call so you and I can have a one-on-one conversation. And might I add, if any of these monthly breakdowns are actually useful to you, I would encourage you to subscribe so you can stay up to date with all of the information. Okay, here's looking at June straight up, 148 homes sold, okay? Homes sold on average at 97 to 98% of asking, and about 1 in 5 homes actually sold over asking. I want you to slow down on these last 2 because they sound like they kind of argue with each other, right? And I think it's important that we actually understand the difference. It will be genuinely useful. So 1 in 5 selling over asking is kind of like a head count. It means roughly 20% of sellers still got a bidding situation. But the average home is still selling at 97 to 98% of list price. It means the typical home actually sold a touch under what it was listed for. Both these things are true at the same time. A minority of homes, the sharp ones, priced right in the right pocket, still got their bid up. The majority sold at or a little bit below asking. And so that pulls your averages, right? It pulls your averages down. So the lesson for a seller, if you're a seller, it's simple. You need to price where the market is today, and you can still create competition. Okay? If you're pricing at ego, people are going to walk right by your home. Virtually. As I tell you this every week, really the story of Guelph's market is not one market. There are so many micro markets, and for the sake of this video, I'm probably just going to focus on 3. So first, beginning with our single family detached properties, we had 111 properties sold in the month of June, and that's kind of like 3 a day. And with inventory rising, buyers they showed up for houses. About 18% of them actually went over asking, and they sold right around 97% of their list price. So that range tells you the story of the city from, say a downtown semi at $545,000 all the way up to a Courtright East home at just over 2.7 million, let's say. Demand for the detached home in Guelph does not really go away. You just get pickier. And now for condos and townhomes, 37 sold. Okay, this segment, it kind of came alive. Okay, 19% sold over asking, and they actually held about 98% of their original price. The range ran from a Dovercliff unit in the low 200,000s right up to a Victoria North property near the $1.3 million mark. And for a first-time home buyer, this is really where the door opens to your advantage. For months, the story was the opposite of this. Okay, detached inventory sat flat and condos and towns just kept piling up. Okay, right now, I'm not saying that it's flipped, but the detached segment is where the inventory is climbing about 5% in June to 320 homes, and the condo and town segment has actually gone a little bit flat, or it's sitting around 295. So the leverage is just ever so slightly moving. Okay, so if you're looking at in the detached segment as a buyer, you have a lot of choice in your hands this summer. If you're a condo, you still have a bunch of choice to go through. The detached segment is not as quiet. It's not such slim pickings as it once was even just a couple months ago. Okay, so here's my honest read on what's happening in Guelph right now. The fundamentals here are not broken. And I say this often, people still choose this city, whether it's the university, whether it's the community, whether it's the fact that you get real space here. Okay, and yes, it's 40 minutes from the GTA, but that's become a normal commute for most people now. That's what my clients tell me. And if you're getting more bang for your buck, if you're able to stretch your dollar that much further and get the lifestyle that you've been craving, 40 minutes is a price worth paying, is what I'm hearing. The buyers of today are seeing that inventory is rising, and they're choosy, and they'll wait for a better deal to come up on the market. Okay. And sellers, dare I say, at least the sellers I'm having conversations with, it's nice to go in and have an honest conversation. And sometimes I know that I'm pushing buttons because it's not a number that you want to hear, but I'm meeting a lot of fabulous sellers who have such grace and see that the market has actually adjusted against them. And yet they're willing to prepare their properties and put it up on the market and be realistic about pricing. And hats off to you. if you're a seller, the market does not care what your neighbor sold for. It does not really care what you owe on your mortgage. It only cares about what a buyer is willing to pay in today's market. And for buyers, you have choice, you have time. Use that leverage. That's what that is. Okay, let's zoom out for a quick second, please, because I'd love to show you what was happening here in Guelph about a decade ago. The average Guelph home was in the low 400s about a decade ago, and today it's around $800,000. It's roughly doubled in 10 years, and it is growing, okay? About 8% a year on average. And that is sort of the long arc. And it is why anyone who bought and held has done well. Now, the part that surprises a lot of folks actually is the year over year, of course, because if you're looking at a short-term hold, then yeah, the prices are down and they're down about 4%. And more than that, the average Guelph home today is sitting at pricing we last saw in 2021. So if you bought anywhere from the back half of 2021 through to the end of 2025, honestly, you would likely be listing today for less than what you paid. And so both of these things are true at once, and up massively over a decade, and of course softer in the short term. And this is just what it is. This is why real estate is a long-term hold wealth formula. If you bought in 2022, this is a season of patience for you. And of course, life happens, and there are circumstances in which you need to sell regardless. Then figuring out exactly what number you can get for your property, what is the motivation behind really selling, and how do we make sure we capture the right buyer in the quickest amount of time for the most amount of money for you is a priority. So whatever side of this you're on, don't make a decision just by default, okay? Get involved with the market. You're here because you want the data, you want the numbers. Now let the data and numbers work for you. Does where you live still fit the lifestyle for who you're becoming? Because the number, that you see on the listing, it's just a sticker price. You get stuck with the house and the community that you invest in. So I'm going to encourage you to choose wisely. June was an interesting month. We have much more inventory in our detached segment, which is slowing things down a little bit there. I would love to hear what side of the fence you're on. Are you looking to enter the market, or are you looking to offload a property right here in the city of Guelph? I read every comment. I'm going to see you in the next video.